the ice was shifting. Mm-hmm. You ever heard that? It's terrifying. Mm-hmm. And all the regular fishermen, the anglers over here,
the avid anglers,
the people who've heard it before,
not even like a flinch.
And I'm like, you're like, I'm gonna die.
I'm like, are we gonna die?
We're going through.
Just Drew.
Welcome back, Just Drew listeners. I'm gonna get a little bit sentimental as we are officially a year in with the Just Drew podcast. Myself and Drew have learned quite a bit and are super stoked that people come up to us in public and talk about the podcast and what they like about it and what their favorite episodes are. And we really enjoy it, and we enjoy the feedback and the likes and the comments and the follows and just the overall support. So even if you're tuning in for the first time, but especially if you're tuning in for, I think this is the 35th episode, just thank you. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We do really appreciate it. We do really enjoy this. I have learned a lot about cable management and post-production audio and, carrying out a good conversation and interview, scheduling guests. All the guests have sort of been in my internal network, and for those that reach out and that want to come on. Also, if you have a cool story to tell or a cool career, somebody, don't hesitate to reach out. Just send us a DM. We're very open-minded and clearly very broad with our guests. We're very interested in a wide range of genres. With that, today's guest is Amanda Vranckx. If you're local to Norfolk County, I'm sure you know who Amanda is. After cutting her teeth in the wine media with editorial roles in both Vines and Wine Access magazines, she's pivoted from writing about wine to starting a winery from the ground up. Amanda now co-owns Front Road Cellars and operates it with her partner Nick, where she oversees marketing, retail, and sales. Amanda also does all of the labels, pulling inspiration from storytelling and a strong sense of place. With additional training from Niagara College's Artisan Distilling Program and Vranckx Wine Business Certificate, Amanda is deeply focused on creating unforgettable guest experiences and really championing hospitality in Norfolk County's emerging wine scene. Thanks again for those who have been tuning in for the past 12 months. If you want to continue supporting the podcast, obviously keep listening to our episodes. Follow us on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and if you're feeling up to it, go visit our website. We do have a Neurospicy t-shirt that we are selling to support the podcast. I know times are tight, but even just listening to the podcast episodes means a lot to us. So thank you very much. And here is Amanda.
Hey you, you're listening to Just Drew. Just Drew. Just Drew.
Getting sweaty. I had to turn my sweater off.
Turn your sweater.
Had to turn it off.
Turn it off.
Although you had that. Do we have a heated vest?
What's that? Yeah, I do.
I like to go.
Like a Bluetooth
Yeah.
heated? Oh my God. They really do make everything these days.
Well, we were ice fishing, and then he speaking of turning off sweaters, he turned his on.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
That's like a pro move.
Yeah, he's a pro.
Well,
He's a pro.
clearly.
Yeah. We did a podcast in an ice fishing hut, but we did go again in a tent, and it was very cold, and he had his...
That's when it worked better. In the hut, there was already a fireplace in there, so it was...
Which is baffling to me, because I, not familiar with ice fishing, and I saw that, and I was wondering about, how do you have a fire on ice? It just blows my mind.
You feel like you would just go...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feels very unsafe.
Yeah, and then, at least my first experience, the ice was shifting. Mm-hmm. You ever heard that? It's terrifying. Mm-hmm. And all the regular fishermen, the anglers over here,
the avid anglers,
the people who've heard it before,
not even like a flinch.
And I'm you're like, I'm gonna die.
I'm like, are we gonna die?
We're going through.
This is the end.
Say your last words. It sounds so cool, though.
It does sound really
cool.
I
don't know about
that. Then when a pressure crack goes right through the hut, that's
no.
something.
No, thank you.
You said that happened to you?
Yeah. Just you hear it like 2 kilometers down, then it gets closer, then it's right at your feet. You see the ice go.
No.
So you move, I assume.
Nope. We stay
okay.
there.
All right.
It's okay.
Right on the crack.
It's making ice, so
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So anyways,
No.
I had to turn my sweater off.
Yeah.
Welcome, Amanda. Very exciting to have you here.
Thrilled to be here.
Yeah. How's spring's coming up? Things are blooming.
Is it?
Well,
I mean, by the time that this goes out into the universe, it will hopefully be actual spring,
It'll be consistent.
not fake spring part 3,
Yeah.
which is I feel what we've been having.
Too much foreplay from spring.
Oh my God, so much.
Yeah. Because it's like it was 18 degrees the one day, and then the very next day I wake up and
Snow.
there's snow. I'm
Yeah,
sure-
it doesn't make much sense, and I feel like I've got 2 little girls. They're 6 and 4, and it's baffling to them because at school they're like, "These are the 4 seasons. It is
Yeah.
spring now.
That's what they teach
We're
you.
talking about plants," and they're like, "But why is there still snow?" I'm like, I don't know. I don't know
We
why.
should tariff the snow. That's what I said.
Oh God. We should though. That would get rid of it real quick.
Yeah.
Just like all the bourbon off the shelf. Bye.
Yeah.
Same.
For those listening, we're talking. So we made a version of a New York sour, but I used rye. It's not bad. You know what?
It's good.
Because I'm a very, very big old fashioned guy and bourbon guy. And so to make a drink with rye is sort of not my thing.
But do you drink rye normally?
At a wedding with
Okay.
ginger ale.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Which I think is the vast majority of Canadians' entry and general consumption of rye.
Yeah, it's your classic mixed drink.
Yeah.
Like a bar rail.
Yeah. But I think like the quality of that is drastically changing. So if people haven't tried rye from like a local producer, and I'm not talking like the big guys, like craft, it's worth revisiting. People are doing some interesting things. Yeah. Quality's going up across the board.
That's good.
Yeah.
And you were saying you discovered some brand that is close to a bourbon.
Yeah, more people are experimenting with, American oak barrels or the style of bourbon without it being from Kentucky or United States in general. So I think, a sweeter style. I like a higher corn in the mash.
What does that do?
Out there. Sweetness. Yeah.
I think that's
right?
why I like I like sweet things.
Yeah.
I like port. I like ice wine. I like bourbon.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. That's what it is. And how much they char the inside of the barrel. So we were talking about American oak and how they have to use American oak for it to be considered bourbon. You can char, and this is the same with wine, you can char the inside of the barrel to your preference when you're talking to your cooper. Different cooper.
Not the cat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll ask
Yeah,
him.
not
though.
the cat. Yeah, he might have an opinion.
Maybe he makes bourbon. I don't know.
We don't know. We don't know what he does in his spare time. You can go really far, which they call like alligator char, and it looks like that, like alligator skin. Or you can do more of a medium toast, which is tends to be what we do at the winery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that just add more smokiness to
Exactly.
it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. More char
More
flavor,
char. Yeah.
smoke.
It would be a darker. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Because that's the color and all of that thing is coming from being in the barrel for that long.
Yeah. I don't think people realize, but there's not much difference between vodka and a whiskey before it goes in. It's essentially the same thing. It's just.
Yeah, the grain bill is
Yeah.
different, but that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I think that's barrel, huge part of what that kind of ends up being, which is, we get some older use, or once they've been used once for bourbon, you can't use them again. So there's lots of bourbon barrels on the market for resale. And we have a couple that we've done for a bourbon barrel cider, and you still get like putting apple cider into it. The flavors are locked into that wood.
Yeah.
And so they come back out into the cider, which is pretty cool.
How long was the cider sitting in there?
Just under a year.
Okay.
Yeah, most of the stuff we do that's barrel aged is all based on a life cycle of the winery.
Yeah.
So that when it's empty and ready to go into bottle, something is going back into it.
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't want them sitting there and being like dry, empty wood.
Yeah.
It's just going to break.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
It'll be brittle.
Exactly.
Yeah. I was because I've been reading through this book and learning more about it and stuff because I'm just a hobbyist, right? So I'm
Yep.
trying to get better and learn more things.
Aren't
and
we all hobbyists?
You're already teaching me some things today. So, but I was asking. I call ChatGPT Chad. So I was asking Chad.
Yeah.
And I was like, why oak? Why only oak? Why not maple? Why not cherry? Why not this? And it's like something to do with the density.
Yeah.
But also its flavor profiles.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it was saying they do sometimes experiment with like other wood, but it doesn't work as well.
It does not work as well.
Yeah.
It's interesting because Canadian oak, and we had touched on this a little bit when we were talking about American oak being used for bourbon. Canadian oak, primarily from around here, is coopered in the States, but comes back to St. George, which is like less than or just over 100 kilometers from our farm to his farm. And the man who makes them, he's like a doctor by trade, got into barrel making in his spare time.
It's a good profession.
Right? Is one of, I think there's only 2 or 3 coopers in the country. And so in his spare time makes these Canadian oak barrels sourced from Norfolk County. So when you have, including wood that's sourced from Norfolk County. So when you have one of our Canadian oak wines, which we do 4 of, the likelihood of there being an oak tree from Norfolk County in there is pretty high.
Pretty high.
And we're trying to work with him in partnership to kind of exclusively use that at some point.
Okay.
So that's our like 3 to 5 year plan.
I was driving behind a logging truck this morning.
See, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's flavor profile wise, because it's colder here than it is in the United States. The wood is, well, as it grows, is a little bit tighter.
I saw a photo of this circulating.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that is, when you cut it, the grain of the wood imparts how much or how little flavor profile you're going to get in the finished product.
Like same thickness wood, but there's like 100 layers versus maybe 20. Yeah.
Yeah, it's how slow the trees grow.
Yeah. There was somebody making a post about the whole tariff war and things like that, and how we're going to tariff the hell out of them if they want Canadian wood, because Canadian wood is much better. It's much denser, more layers, and that's because of the cold. They just take longer to grow.
Yeah, 100%.
And it showed some American wood, like the layers were like this thick, and then ours were like this.
And so you have to imagine when you cut that and you make it into a wine barrel or a whiskey barrel, whatever it might be, how that's going to impart the flavors overall, right? And so for us, it's a story of place when we're talking about the wines that we make and those style of grapes. Like that's a circular story. Like people in France don't use, God forbid, they use American oak. No, but they certainly are not even going to go and get Canadian oak, right? Like if you're in France, they're using French oak.
We have the best.
Yeah, exactly. They're not going to. It's hilarious to me. But then people balk at the idea that we should be growing Canadian wines or Canadian grapes, turning them into Canadian wines by using Canadian barrels. Like people are like, why? Like, what do you mean, why?
So it's Canadian through and through.
Yeah, that's the point. That's the entire point of what we're doing.
I think just like the industry in France is so much older. You know, they've been doing it for 1,000 years, maybe more.
Easy.
And so it's like, well, they know best, so we must get there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's fine. And we do use a mixture of different oak types. We do have some French oak, but not a whole lot left. We also use the Hungarian oak because my husband, Nick, is part Hungarian.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So kind of a story through his background.
Yeah.
Yeah. And their oak is very similar to ours, like climate-wise. So
yeah, I guess it would be cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hungary's next to Poland.
I couldn't tell you.
You want to check that for me?
Yeah.
Sure. I'm
geography,
I'm,
not my strong
I'm
suit.
average at geography. Oh, well, I was actually serving somebody yesterday at the bar, and I had to explain. There's this wine I really like. Can't think of the name. My cousin always drinks it, but it's from Georgia, but the country. She's like, that's a country?
Thinking like
not
Georgia,
the state.
America state.
No, it's a
Got
country.
you.
Like, where is it? I'm like,
Great
I
question.
think it's near like Romania. It's like a Baltic state.
Yeah, so there you go. They're all there. There's Romania, there's Ukraine, Poland, Hungary. Yeah.
Yeah. Check.
All in that little area.
Belarus. Where's Georgia? I know it's in there somewhere. It's not a big country. I
No,
don't
it's
think.
tiny.
Can you click? Can you zoom in?
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Whoa.
zoom out a little bit. Romania, Bulgaria, Serbia. It's somewhere in there.
Somewhere down here, I
Somewhere
think.
down there. Moldova. Oh, it's driving
Greece.
me nuts. Too far south. It's
The other thing is like, yeah. these are all places that are beautiful, but I have like zero desire to go there just because of wars in the past. And I think they were all when I was younger. And so now I'm like, no.
I mean, beautiful landscape.
Beautiful,
there's
gorgeous.
Georgia.
What a great place to go and be able to experience culture. Love it.
Yeah. I think the problem is it used to be part of the Soviet bloc. And when that dissipated, you know, they still had like a grasp on the countries. And so I think Georgia was invaded. And
But Georgia, and fact check this, but I feel like is one of the oldest grape growing regions, winemaking regions, countries
probably
in the world.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they've been making wine there for a very, very long time. So if we're talking about France and them, you know, doing this so much longer than us, Georgia, I think, is in that conversation. Yeah. Agent Sites. Same.
Wow.
Fact checked.
Wow.
I do know stuff about grapes.
I was learning about like the Romans, because when you see the old Greek and Roman movies, they're just guzzling wine, right? But I guess they used to cut it a lot. They would cut it with water. They would also cut it with psychedelics.
Oh,
and so
what a party!
Yes, so those old Roman orgies you'd see. That's not just
Not
wine,
fake.
not all the time. There's a guy who has a book on it, and he found like ergot in some wine things, which is like a psychedelic.
God. Wow.
Well, ergot kind of grows now. It's a mold, or like a fungi. It's
Sounds like a fun
magic
guy.
Yeah, it could also poison you though. So it's yeah.
One of those.
Do you want to look that up, or ergot? ERGOT? Maybe.
That feels right.
So it's like it grows on like wood.
Here it is. Fungi.
Yep.
Weird.
Yeah, it's a fungi disease of rye. Yeah, and so they would like.
Oh, I feel like I learned about this.
Yeah. But it can kill you.
It can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so the reason why I got into, like we've kind of talked about distilling and bourbon and all of that stuff. The reason I got into it was during COVID. We had bought our like first Airbnb, like a cottage in Turkey Point. Got that up, got that running. That was like COVID year 1. Then COVID year 2, I was pregnant. So had a baby. And then COVID year 3, I was like kind of bored. And Nick and I were like, what else are we going to do? Like, are we going to have another kid? Like, that's 2. 2 feels good. Are we going to do that? Are we going to add something onto our business? Or what are we going to do? And we kind of thought ahead, like what we wanted out of our property. And we're like, wouldn't it be cool to operate like a distillery? But neither of us, other than interest, had any background in that. And fermentation and distilling is very similar to winemaking, but it's not an exact science. So we were like, okay, well, I guess one of us should go back to school and like actually learn about this. So I went to artisan distilling at Niagara College for a year and got that program certificate completed. And that was the only reason I could do it was because it was like hybrid online. So you could go 2 days a week or 3 days a week into Niagara back and forth. And then the rest of it was at least like on my computer in my basement.
2-hour drive, yeah. So you do 4 hours. Dedicated.
Yeah. But you can't learn how to run a still via the internet. yeah, like that's not how that works.
Plug this in.
Yeah. So like there was hands-on stuff you actually have to learn how to do. And so a lot of it was science, and I remember learning about this because it was one of those things that like you want to learn about different things that can affect your grains, right? Because it was a full program into all of that stuff. But completing that was like what taught me a lot about the things that were just like of interest, like hobby things, and then took them to a completely other level. And then shortly after that, we started doing like the fortified wines.
Yeah.
So it was a nice segue into what we want to do, and like the possibilities with that are kind of endless. I'd love to make whiskey one day, but maybe like bourbon style.
You've
whiskey.
really diversified yourself. So I mean, like, why not keep going?
Right? Why not? Yeah. So my point is that if you're bored, you can do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So COVID wasn't great for a lot, but
yeah,
it was good for that.
Yeah. I think we all kind of like I created a clothing brand.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
So, like,
you gotta make the most of it.
Gotta make the most of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't really. There was nothing I could do. I was freelancing. They're like, you're not allowed to work. I'm like, what do I do?
I know. Right. And that's the thing, that it forces you to be creative. And that's always been the way that we've kind of sink or swim a little,
Yeah.
right? It was like we were lucky because where we were, we had already had the forethought that we didn't want to be a traditional tasting bar. I could see that was dying, and not being a way that was approachable for people to enjoy wine. It's not how I enjoy wine. Like, I don't like saddling up to a bar and being like 3 deep and yelling at someone and being like, "Hi, can I try your Chardonnay?" Like, that's not... And then like them rushing to tell you something really quickly while you sip like this little tiny sample. Like that's not how you learn about wine. How I always learned about wine was sitting down and around a table with my friends and having a snack and like an enjoyable portion size of something. And then being told about why it was created or what the story was behind it. And then actually being able to leave the table with some sort of aha moment. And so we had already transitioned away from that into our patio service and built a patio that was double the inside space, I want to say. And thank God we did, because then it was like, you can't be inside. You can't be standing. We had to be seated.
Yeah.
Right? We had to come in one door, out another door, all of those things. And so we had already completed all of it. We had already bought everything. We already had the patio heaters that everyone was rushing to Home Depot to buy. Like, the only thing we didn't have was those like trendy igloos. Those were pretty cool.
Yeah, they're still around.
They are.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Especially for those that don't have as much seating inside, and they'll try to
especially in the winter. Yeah, totally. So we had kind of already done that, which was good. And so I felt like we were like at least a couple weeks, if not months, ahead of everybody else with that. And because you had to adjust. You had to figure out how you were going to make your business thrive and survive. And that was also right around the time that like Nick and I bought the farm from his parents, was in that process as well, like 2-3 years ago now. So it changes things when we've been running the business for 10 years, but when those mortgage payments are coming out of your account instead of theirs, it all of a sudden, makes a difference. Who knew?
More further inner drive. Perhaps.
Yeah.
But maybe that's a good thing.
It is a good thing.
Yeah.
When you're responsible for it, there's no other choice.
Yeah.
That's what I always say to people about kids. It's like when you have a kid, like you have no other choice. Like you just... It doesn't matter how tired you are.
Legally
if you're sick,
now.
you just like you are like you have to get up. Like we were all pretty sick like 2 weeks ago, and it's funny because it's like when you were sick as a teenager or even like a kid. Like I feel like I grew up in the golden era of that, where it was like Saved by the Bell was always on TV, and like you just got to come home and like
Price is
watch,
Right?
watch Bob Barker and like push your brother off the couch and eat some chicken noodle soup and call it a day.
Yep.
But now, like, you're responsible for tiny humans, so it doesn't matter how sick you are. It's like, get your ass up.
I wonder if students still get away with that. Like, if you're sick, you're like, oh, I'm sick. And they're like, oh, you're sick? Oh, here's a Zoom call, or like, here's an online module.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's true. You don't get days off. And I feel like sometimes that can be, like, for companies and stuff, you have to be really aware that, like, people sometimes need to be actually at home and not be bothered. Just because they're sick doesn't mean that, like...
Yeah.
They have to still phone into the conference call.
Yeah. It's like, you know, at least for now, my studio is here at home. So it is nice where if I was at a space with staff or something, like they're going to come to me with questions. I'm going to be interrupted constantly. And so it's less efficient maybe.
That's working from home. We have to be a self-starter to be able to work from home.
Like obviously my goal is to have a studio eventually and move everything, but I'm like, maybe I do want to keep a portion of it here just so I can be efficient. And the worst
I can't like, we live across the street from the winery. We're kitty corner from the winery.
Yeah.
So you're always there. There is no off button.
Yeah.
Which is good and bad.
I was talking about that last night with Ashley, just, you know, running a business or being a freelancer versus like a 9-to-5, it's like it follows you. So like a 9-to-5, you're done. You can enjoy your evening.
Yeah.
There's no responsibilities. And then you go back to your shift the next day.
Refreshed.
When you own a business and you go home
there's always
and you want to
work.
relax and watch White Lotus, like boom, an email pops up. You're like, don't look at it. Don't look. But what if it's important?
Yeah.
And then you open it and it's like, shit, it's important.
And I got to deal with it. Yeah, well, I think even at the the worst part of that is, or the best part, I guess, is that you could sit there and be inspired by something that you saw when you're supposed to be relaxing.
Yes.
And then you're like, oh God, that's such a good idea.
I
had a cocktail idea watching White Lotus because I was like, ooh, that's fun. Like I want to make something White Lotus-y
Can you share?
Yeah, well, it's going to be on our summer menu, I think. Yeah. So the dry white vermouth, and then it's like a cherry blossom green tea, like iced tea, and then a little elderflower liqueur.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, like a tonic.
Like Saint Germain? Or?
Yeah, Saint Germain.
Saint Germain.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, a tall glass.
Yeah,
little garnish.
I'm learning.
It's going to be so yummy. So yummy.
I saw this funny reel online. It was some bar, and they were handing bartenders bottles blindfolded.
Oh, yeah. I saw that one.
They had to guess what it was. They're like, oh, Saint Germain, oh, this is... And they kept giving the one guy Campari over and over, and he's
it
like...
It is a distinct bottle.
What the fuck? Is this Campari again? Did it to him like 5-6 times.
It's a great bottle. I love glassware and bottles
slick.
Design and all of that stuff. I love that.
It's crazy, like like across the LCB, like you know it's Crown Royal just because of the bottle, not so much the color of the liquor. It's like the bottle shape.
Iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's very few brands though. Like watching that video, it made me realize it was like how many brands. There's 10, 12, but how many liquor brands are there in the world? Like
thousands.
Yeah. So what are these people doing that is setting them out, setting them apart from this crowd? I don't know. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
They did a good job.
Well, we don't have any American ones right now.
No,
that's okay.
No, we're making a little spin on a Aperol Campari product. This year, yeah, because I want to do like an Aperol spritz cocktail in like a little glass bottle, like a 200 ml.
You're gonna make the aperitif yourself?
Yeah.
Oh,
I did actually.
Oh, so it's made.
Well, a sample size of it is made. Okay. I did make it though, and afterwards when I tasted it, I was like, oh my God, I actually did it. Like, isn't it like, I'm like, oh my, wow. Oh my God. I did my job.
Yeah, those 4-hour drives paid off.
Oh God, who knew?
Yeah.
Who knew? Yeah, and I tried it with the bubbles because that's the other thing. Last year, we created 3 brand new sparkling wines, having never made sparkling wine before. And we were like, that was a little chaotic. Why did we do 3? I don't know. 2 would have been fine.
Sparkling's naturally carbonated too, right?
Ours is, you can do sparkling in a couple of different ways.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're like true champagne method. Sparkling wine is re-fermented for the second time in bottle.
And that's what gives it.
Yes. And then they disgorge it, like get all the gross stuff out, recap it, and that becomes champagne. Or champagne method, sparkling. You can also do Charmat method, which is what we do at the winery, which is the carbonation comes in a tank and then we
put it in
the bottle.
Yeah.
Which is good. Yeah, but just a little bit of additional sugar.
Yeah,
gets everything going. Or fruit juice, grape juice that's not all the way fermented. We'll get that kind of the bubbles. So we did, 3, including one that was like wild ferment, single like Chardonnay, Blanc de Blanc. Really interesting. It was my Taylor Swift label.
Oh yes, you're a Taylor Swift fan.
I am.
Oh, I should have worn my T-shirt.
Taylor, like when her first record album, whatever, came out, I was driving with my sister in my car, and she's 10 years younger than me. So like these stories always like, she has a very different point of view. And she was going to high school, I think, and I was dropping her off, probably hungover, to be completely honest. And we were listening to Taylor Swift, and my sister like turned to me and was like, who is this? And I was like, this girl's going to be a superstar. And I was like, 10 years later, fast forward, and I was like, called it. I was like, I was right.
Just a superstar.
The superstar. And so that was like my claim to fame. That I called Taylor Swift. It was going to be a star.
What do they refer to her? Mother.
Mother.
Did you know that?
I did not know that.
They just refer to her as mother.
Huh.
Mother says. She's fantastic, but she also, like, all of her album releases always came out at really convenient times for me, like around the birth of my children. So like, when you're at home and a baby's screaming at your face during witching hour, which is like 5 till 7 p.m., which is also like cocktail time, to be completely frank, you could always put Taylor on and then have like a kitchen dance party. So I just feel like a lot of my life was tied to her music and her diversity. Yeah. And so when we made this product that was so unlike us, and was so different than anything we had ever done, I was like, I feel like I gotta say, hey, thanks, Taylor. So we stole one of her lyrics from Lover, which is, I've loved you 3 summers now, baby, I want them all. And so 3 summers, sparkling wine, was our Blanc de Blanc in ode of Taylor.
Yep.
So it's fantastic. It's delicious. We don't have a ton of it left. And I don't know when we're going to make more of it. So it's like super good. Yeah. And then but we're going to be using our Clink Clink sparkling for this little Aperol spritzy cocktail. It's a little bit like more approachable style of a sparkling wine. Really easy drinking and like got nice, fresh, crisp fruit. And so it'll play nicely with that like bitter.
So you can make an Aperol spritz all in-house. So you have everything now. Mm-hmm. And what people don't realize, do you know what an aperitif is?
I do not. No.
It's a whole category.
It's a whole category, and it's something you have after dinner to help with digestion.
Okay.
That's a digestif. Aperitif comes before dinner.
Sorry, before dinner.
Yeah.
But it moves things along. Mm-hmm. And people don't realize that, and they'll have 2 or 3 at a wedding, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, God, I have to go to the wine.
Yeah, don't
like,
do that.
What were you drinking? Just a few Aperol spritzes. I'm like, yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, don't do that. That's why those Italians are so happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got a smooth digestive tract.
So an aperitif is prior to.
Yes.
And a digestif. So a digestif would be like orzo, or like, I know they like to do the licorice.
Yeah, licorice, like anise flavored. And then like even...
Sambuca.
Yeah. What's the really obnoxious one that we all took shots of when we were in college or university with the square bottle?
Oh, Jaeger.
Jaeger is technically a digestif.
Digestif.
Yeah.
It'd be like
it's like if it didn't have that claim, if it didn't have that claim to fame, it would actually be like a very high end product. Yeah, but everybody thinks of it like
it was the pairing with Red Bull.
100%.
Which brought it into like this is a party liquor,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe it wasn't before, and Jaeger was like, oh shit, but then they saw.
But they also sold a lot, so whatever, it works out. It's in Italy, they have aperitivo hour. So it's like the hour after you've done work, which I feel like we need to embrace more of this culture.
Absolutely.
Totally. So the hour after work, before you go home and start dinner, and you just go and hang out in the plaza and have drinks. And then when you order a drink, they bring you a little snack.
Oh. It's like the biscotti they bring with an espresso.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or they'll bring you like just a little nibble of cheese. Or like some puff or something. It's not a lot, and it's just a little plate, or like some olives, a little bit of nuts. I'm like, oh my God, I want that. I just go over to the patio and I'm like, someone get me some warm olives, please.
Oh yeah, warm olives.
They're like, oh, the boss is here. I'm like, don't tell anybody. I'm gonna go sit on the yellow chair and mind my business. Don't tell anyone I'm here.
I always tell people, like, if I were to pick one country, it'd be Italy. One cuisine, Italy. They have everything covered: pasta, pizza, wines, meats, cheeses.
100%.
They got it all.
That's the like wine lover question.
Sorry,
people
Portuguese,
ask always is like, would you, if you could only drink wine from one country, where would you choose, like Italy or France? And it's always like those are the 2 options because they have everything.
Yeah.
But I think Italy has a slight edge for me.
Mm-hmm. Nice weather.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, I've gone to the Amalfi, and speaking of, I don't know if this would probably be an aperitif prior to limoncello, or is that digestive?
I think either.
Yeah,
sometimes people do like a limoncello spritz.
Okay.
And so that would be, I think, before. Yeah, and then just like after dinner.
Yeah.
A little bit of pound cake.
Yeah. This we stayed in an Airbnb, and they sort of all make their own. Mm-hmm. It's almost like as like a family basis. And this one Airbnb had their lemon grove, and they would make their own limoncello.
Iconic.
And so every morning, it's like, oh, here's your limoncello. Every night, oh, here's your limoncello.
Oh my God.
My brother's like 16 at the time. He's like, hell yeah.
I love that. Is that the only place in Italy you've been?
I've been to Florence.
Okay.
I've been to Venice. Been to Rome.
Nice. So you've been all over then, really?
Yeah.
For a long period of time, or just like?
Yeah. The first time I went, I was 18 after prom with my parents, and then I went again with Ashley, my brother, and a cousin. Nice. And where did we go first? I think we did Venice and then worked our way down. Yeah.
I in a past life, I got to go for free to Italy.
Oh, fun. Yes.
Well, so I graduated school, wanted to be a teacher, theoretically, and then realized I didn't want to be a teacher anymore. Iconic. Classic move after spending all that money. So I went back to school for journalism, and as part of our like co-op to graduate, you had to have a co-op. So I was like, what do I want to do for 3 months? Like, where do I want to like go with this? Right. Because journalism's so broad. You could do like literally anything. Yeah. Radio, TV, whatever. And so my focus was print. Whoops. And magazines in particular. I just thought like I grew up with magazines. I love magazines. And they're having a little bit of a resurgence now. But I went to work for at that time, there was only 2 in Canada, Canadian wine magazines. So I went to work for Vines, and they were in Burlington. I stayed with family there, and I was supposed to be there for 3 months, and I stayed, I think, 3 years. And when I left, I was like assistant editor of that magazine, which was crazy. And I learned about wine through that experience. And part of that, and coming out of that, was able to go to Wine Access, which at that time was the only other wine magazine, and was their web editor. And I got to go to Italy to judge this Nebbiolo event that they have every year. I think they still have it, I would assume, where they bring out all these really high tannin, big wines. Like literally the year they're bottled. These wines are not supposed to be drank enjoyably for like 10 plus years. And they'd bring all this press and media, and we'd all sit in a room and we'd taste 200 wines in a day. Morning, have a little break for lunch, another 100 after lunch, and then you'd wrap everything up, and they make like Prosecco or whatever, and we'd go and have some of that, and then you do like a wine dinner and taste some more wines. But I got 3 paid trips to Elba on that to be able to do that in Piedmont, and it was incredible, like just gorgeous. And that place, like, yeah, it has my heart. But those wines, like your teeth would be red. Like it was like drinking tea that had been like the tea bag had been left in for like 4 days, like that. But like every wine, it's painful. Like it's like physical work that you have to do. Yeah. And sit there and judge and say, yeah, this one's good. This one's above average. This one's excellent. Yeah. This one will be fantastic in 15, 20 years. And you're like, I don't know, like, I guess, sure. Cool. Yeah. I felt like so out of my element. But then, you know, you look at your scores versus other people's or other people's opinions on a flight, and they were good. They'd be like, okay, start with ones that are a little bit lighter, go to more medium bodied, go to really high tannin, high heavy, big wines, and like a high acid. Like it was just, they're wines that, 1, either need food, or 2, more importantly, they need time. And those are crafted in a very like classic style, right? And I feel like that's a style that isn't enjoyed here as often. Like people are buying those wines, and I feel like very few people have cellars nowadays. And approachability in wine is definitely like a growing trend where people are consuming. There's like a stat on the LCBO that I've heard for years, and I couldn't tell you if it's true now. But it was like the typical bottle that's purchased from the LCBO is consumed within 24 hours of its purchase. Like the vast majority. It's like 75 or 80% of wines that are purchased. They're not collecting. They're not collecting. No one's putting them away. And it's so opposite of what they do. And they're literally releasing your wines to be like, hey, look, we made them. Aren't they great? What do you think of this vintage? What do you think of this, like, as a quality as a whole? Did we do a good job? Did we do an excellent job? Like, tell us so that everybody can hold on to their wines. If it's a really good year, we'll all put them away. And I'm like, this is wild. Like, it's such a different culture than what wine drinking is here.
Yeah. Even just the way it's set up, legality, and like all the red tape you would have to go through as a distillery.
Yeah.
Is absurd, and I rant about it all the time. I'm not even like in the industry, but I'm friends with everybody, and they not complain, but
it's a lot.
It's like very stifling. Yeah, like especially distilling, right? Like brewing especially is hard enough, but distilling in particular.
Yeah, no, spirit folks, it's crazy.
And these provincial laws or federal?
Both.
Oh, yeah. Great, awesome.
Yeah. So to own a still in Canada, that's a federal thing.
Okay.
Because they don't want you to just own it, right? Blow everybody up, or kill somebody.
Yes, that's great.
Right, so there's like that, and then all the tax structure and stuff is all through like the excise, which is federal. But then there's municipal guidelines for what size, like what building you can put it in. It has to be on a specific, certain amount of wall space, certain amount of exits, how thick are your walls, what zoning do you have? Is it fire, all of those things. And then, provincially, I think they're concerned about where it's located. Like you have to be a certain setback from business, like houses, right? Obviously, schools, churches, places where they don't want distilleries.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. So yeah, everybody has their little hand in your pocket because the AGCO controls all of that, and your license to actually to distill or sell it or sample it or make a cocktail from it.
Yeah,
it's like never ending.
I was talking to Jeff from Concession about this because when he first opened, he couldn't serve full pints.
No,
but he could serve
samples
that would exceeded a pint.
Yeah, because he had the sampling license basically, right? Where it's like you as a brewery, you're allowed to sample your product. Same at a winery, you're allowed to sample your wines, but to like serve it by the glass or by the pint, that's a separate licensing.
Right.
Classic.
It's
but
important.
then to sell it is a different. Yeah, yes.
Right. We need all these different ones.
Yeah, they all cost money.
They're
and
essential.
They all expire at different times. Because nothing is straightforward.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot, and it's the paperwork of all of that is complicated for like us. And Nick and I are both very savvy people, I would say. Like we're both well educated.
Absolutely.
Like we generally know what we're talking about. And we are tech savvy. Like we can figure out actually like how to fill out the application online. And the moving pieces of all the different pieces of government that you have to talk to, and like fire code needs to sign off, health unit, blah, 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 blah. Like we can manage all of that. I can't imagine being either like very new into this industry and having zero idea what I'm doing, or being older and not having like the tech awareness to be able to complete it. So you might have tons of experience in this and just want to do it by yourself and like to restart or create something on your own. Good luck. Good luck. Well, it's like, so this Support Ontario call. So tariffs, all this products getting removed from the shelves off the LCBO, government monopoly. It's what we got here in Ontario. We're working our best around it as much as we can. So great. So the LCBO puts out this general call to all wineries. Hey, we're going to support you. Please apply for our call. Here's what we need, right?
Now
right?
you want to.
Yeah, of
Okay.
course. Yeah. Yeah. Please apply. So you have to fill out this application form. We're accepting up to 200 applications, they say. Great, cool. I think they said 80 people or 80 applications. They could have come from separate people because you could apply more than one product. It got denied because they didn't fill out the form properly. Like they couldn't get the application in. And so they only ended up accepting, I feel like 40 or 60 different new products.
Is it missing a title page or something?
It was like you just didn't, and it is complicated. Like we were figuring it out, and so we went through for our house party wine because it had to be a new product to the LCBO also. So anything that was already in the LCBO doesn't count. They're not just going to order more of that. No, it has to be something new. Great. So we have the SKU. We think we have the volume. Like again, like talking about the advantages of being small and being your own business. Like this was a huge advantage for us was being able to be flexible, because there are people who are making giant piles of wine, right? That have already earmarked that wine for different projects. We earmarked that wine for different projects, but then we're able to adapt in-house and rejig everything and make it make sense. And because of the condensed timeline, so we were like mixing stuff that had already been approved, right? So it had to be approved by VQA as like a quality product to be able to be sold in the store. So you had to have had that done, and all of the paperwork and all the lab testing, you had to have had that all done. Prior.
Yeah.
Right? In order for it to make sense. Or rushed it, I guess, if you just had a lot of money, throw at the problem, sure. We didn't have like labels for that amount of volume of that product. So we had to like send a rush order to our label company. But again, that had to be approved. The label design has to be approved. All the words, what color the little box around contains sulfites is. Like all of that has to be approved. managed to get it all done and fill out the application form, which was apparently so confusing that 60 to 80 people couldn't do it. And got it done, and we were like, well, okay, you're approved. Great, cool. And so they're like, okay, we're going to come pick it up. And this was like 2 or 3 week timeline, like to get this all accomplished, which regularly, like if you're applying now, it would be for something either spring next year or like holidays.
Holy shit.
Right? So like that's how condensed everything was. And it was literally 2 weeks of absolute like batshit crazy, because trying to manage it and manage the application was like a full-time job. So I don't know how you do that and do your regular job unless you're crazy like us.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Was it worth it?
I'll tell you.
Okay.
Yeah. So they picked it up. And so now we'll go to the LCBO warehouse.
Was this recently?
Yeah,
Okay.
just Friday.
Oh, okay.
And so they'll, like, everything on the box, outside of the box has to be the right thing, right? Because there's a barcode on the outside of the box, and that has to be the same size and has to be a certain distance from the corner of each box on each side of the box. Right. And the font has to be 1/2 inch and blah, blah, blah. Right? Of course, perfect. So if that doesn't go and they can't just, take the whole pallet and shift it down their little conveyor belt, and if something happens and they have to hand bomb it, it's like $1,500 for them to like take fee, and that's off your side, of course.
Right.
To take them off the pallet and hand move them down the conveyor belt. So there's like still a lot of like moving pieces. So hopefully by the time this is out into the universe, everything is okay and it's out on shelves and people can buy it, and it will be like a nice, happy story that we're looking back on. But during it was like, and even now we're like, okay, when's the other shoe gonna drop? Like, that's how it feels. It feels like you have to do everything perfectly. Otherwise you're gonna get penalized. And if they have to discount it because it's not moving and people don't want to buy it, then that's 30% off that they'll take off the retail price. And again, that comes off your side, not their side. But you don't get to decide if they discount it. They decide. So it's like, you have to weigh the pros and cons of even applying.
Yeah,
right?
That's because I'm
because there's a lot of work.
I'm a little bit of aware how everything functions with the LCBO, and that's why I asked. I'm like, what is it? Yeah, was it? Worth it?
We don't know. We don't know yet.
Yeah,
we'll find out.
Because the margins aren't great, right?
The margins are not great.
It's more of a marketing.
And you have to pay for marketing, so you have to sink another $2,000 in for marketing. That's part of you agreeing to do it,
right?
But you don't get a say on how that's spent.
Oh, they spend it.
Yeah.
They do it.
Yeah.
Right.
But you give it to them.
Okay.
And then it's spent, and hopefully that sells your wine, right? And so if you've gotten a really great product, which it's delicious. I've tried it. Tastes great. It's priced competitively, I think. So it's $18.95 come out.
Yeah,
like
that's a good price.
a good
That's
price
great.
for, especially for VQA Ontario wine.
Yeah.
I feel like it's right in that range where someone's whatever. It looks cool. Like it's like retro, Saved by the Bell, cool label.
I've seen it. It's good design.
Yeah. So it's like, I think it's gonna like, hopefully will sell, and it will sell quickly, and people will be like, oh yeah, that's awesome, and they'll want to order more, right? Everything goes perfectly. That's the dream. There's just a lot of things that could go wrong.
Absolutely.
And so the stress of that, like no one talks about that part of being a business owner.
And that's just the sales. We haven't even talked about agriculture.
Oh God, yeah.
That's like a whole.
Well, and like growing the grapes to get there, right? And getting the people to pick the grapes that you've grown.
And you have a grove
somehow.
there, yeah? Blueberries?
Yeah, blueberries.
Is that the right term for blueberries? Grove?
I think
Bush?
you can use
Grove?
patch is
Patch,
what we
patch,
say.
patch.
But you could say grove. I feel like grove is grove more like orchard fruit. Like you have
Do
like
I
a
look this up?
I'll look it up.
like
orchard is apples and pears,
yeah, or
right?
like
Tree
but I was
fruits.
thinking like a orange grove.
Orange grove.
Right,
You
like
might
a
be
citrus.
Right. You might be right.
In the citrus family.
I bet you grove might refer to citrus.
Yep, there you go. Group
Actually-
of trees.
Oh, group of trees.
Yep.
So I mean, you're not wrong. I guess a blueberry plant is a shrub, not a tree.
Yeah.
But it isn't in the tree family.
Yeah. And
So.
so you because you used to be called Blueberry Hill.
We still are. So Blueberry
Yeah,
Hill
okay.
still exists as a place.
I see.
Right. So the blueberries that we grow, the PYO, special events and stuff that we have, like all of that is at Blueberry Hill. The wine brand started with blueberry wine. Right?
Yeah, fruit wines.
Duh,
Yeah.
makes sense. We're got all these blueberries, got to make blueberry wine. And we still make blueberry wine. But when we started the vineyard and we started planning and we started making more and more grape wine, putting Blueberry Hill on the label, didn't make sense anymore, because then people are picking up like, I don't know, like Baco Noir when we first released it. They were like, "Well, does this have blueberries in it?" Like, and I'm like,
It'll say blueberry on it, right?
Shit. Yeah, that's not gonna work.
Yeah.
And so we were like, what are we gonna call it? Well, like, what we're gonna rebrand this? What are we gonna rebrand it to? And Front Road Cellars just made sense, right? Front Road is
It has a nice ring.
where we are.
Yeah.
It's where we try to make wine from. Like the vast majority of our wines now, I'd say 75-85% are like estate grown fruit.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big
it's
deal.
awesome. It's huge.
Yeah.
So we're really only bringing in like a few blending wines, like Cab Franc we have to bring in, just because our vineyard doesn't grow the greatest Cab Franc yet. Feel like in the future it could. Down the road.
Is that a hard one to grow?
I think Burning Kiln and Innisphere both grow great Cab Franc. So
Yeah.
I feel like we can. I
Yeah.
think we can.
You're not
we
that
just
far
we're-
away.
yeah, we just haven't. When we replanted, we went with varieties that were easier to grow. Just I think like learning process wise, the
Yeah, you
better
don't want to
call.
start with a hard one.
We did, yeah. And we
Nice.
then we had 2 hard winters.
Classic Amanda style, why not?
classic, why not?
Yeah.
And so then we, like, I remember driving like a little golf cart through the vineyard and doing our like count at the end of the year to like check what was alive and dead. It was like dead, 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 alive, dead, 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 alive. And I was like, oh no. And we had we planted, so when you plant a grape, it's like a little baby Hulk arm vine. And they're normally 1 year old when they go into the ground. Immediately following that was like 2 wicked winters where it went down to like minus 38. And those baby grapes were like, no, dead.
Because it's not, it's not much. It's minus around 18.
Yeah. So the traditional vinifera, like it likes it to be, if it's minus 12 even, it's getting a little dicey. I feel like it can get a little bit colder if it's consistently cold. The problem is when it's like cold and then it's warm again. It's like the spring we're having, and then it slowly starts to warm up, and then we have a frost. That's not great. Like that's
because they're starting to.
Yeah. And it's just like everything. Like it's like cherries. Like Jess from Mott's Fruit Barn. Like we always have this conversation. I'm like, what did you lose? Peaches? Like every spring, somebody's losing something.
Yeah.
Thankfully, the blueberries have been there since '73, so they're pretty established. Like they've seen it all, right? There's
That's
not
an
a
old
whole-
patch.
It's the oldest commercial highbush farm in the province.
Wow.
Yeah. We are the 4th ever owners of that farm, which is crazy.
Yeah.
That's a lot of pressure.
How long does a bush last?
Normally 50 years max out.
Okay,
But
okay.
we're still going.
Yeah.
They're still doing great. A lot of that comes down to like really great agriculture, which Nick is very active in learning about and trying to find new ways to
Restore it. Yeah. Not sucking
reinvigorate.
everything out of the land.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the other part of that is just the right varieties on the right site of land, which was the people who started it. We're really big into research.
Clever with that, yeah.
Yeah. And so we're really lucky that we were able to do that. So we're transitioning to organic on the farm. This year will be our first like bit of organic harvest off of that crop, which will be really cool. But it's a lot of work.
Do you have less of a yield going organic?
We'll see. Yeah, I don't think so. Not really. Like I think the issue that we always have with blueberries isn't necessarily yield. It's finding workforce to be able to pick them.
I see.
So there's lots of times of year where we'll have lots of blueberries.
So
and
if
there's
you
just
use
not
a
lot
machine, it's not organic.
Well, you can, but there's not. The only year we've ever mechanically harvested was during COVID,
Okay.
where it was like a health and safety thing.
Yes. Yeah.
But blueberry harvesters aren't popular. It's not a very like widely distributed piece of machinery.
Yeah.
And so we've just relied on hand picking.
Do you hire seasonal workers?
Nope.
No. Just everybody around here.
Yeah.
And yourself,
locals.
I assume.
Locals.
Yeah.
I don't actually pick that much.
No.
I go out with my kids and that's about it.
Right.
Yeah. I'm like, let's go pick our snack pile. Like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
yeah. But they, I don't mind picking in the beginning of the year because it's a little bit like it's not as hot. But we're lucky being where we are. Blueberries in the harvest of all the agricultural crops in Norfolk. We come after cucumbers, like or in and around cucumbers. Sometimes we'll lose people for them, but we come after asparagus.
Yeah, it's sort
which
of
is awesome.
like end of May, is it?
Yeah,
Or
so
June?
we're like last year we started picking on like the 23rd of June, which is the earliest we ever have. But
Oh, okay.
last spring was like, remember, we actually had spring.
Yeah.
And it was like a really early start to the season.
Okay, so it's very much
so
like
July, a little bit of August normally.
Okay,
But
the
we
summer
s-
fruit.
Yeah, so we will get, people who are picking asparagus, they'll kind of wrap up and they'll come work for us for a couple weeks before they go pick tobacco, or do whatever that is. So there's just like, I feel like it fits nicely into the ecosystem of what else is going on.
The agricultural schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just by happenstance,
Yeah.
which is great. And then inevitably every year we'll get a couple of phone calls from people who are parents who are like trying to get their kids just off of their computers or off of their phones. And they'll be like, can I send my 14-year-old boy come down to
Pick
pick
some
blueberries?
blueberries.
And I'm like, sure, no problem. But tell him to leave his cell phone at home or he can leave it in the office and call you when he's done.
Yeah.
And then they'll come pick for a couple, I wouldn't say all of the time, but they'll pick for a couple days and then they're done.
Don't hire me, my face will be blue.
I know. That's the problem. That's the problem. It's
for
like
me, one for
please
Amanda,
just
one
pick
for
more
me.
than you eat. Please pick more than you eat. But we're lucky because there's people who have come to pick because the patch has been there since 73.
Yeah.
There are people who have come to pick when they were kids. And now they're bringing their family to come pick.
generational, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of Mennonite families that come in and pick, right? And they bring like a whole van full of the whole crew.
They have many,
They have many hands.
many kids.
Yep. And then they'll just be like the little ones, like the slightly older ones will take care of the little ones and they're all out there working. And they get, paid daily and what's not to love? Spending the day out in the sunshine.
Yeah. What variety of blueberries do you grow?
Oh, great question. We have many. So what's one thing I did not know about blueberries before I
You thought
bought a
blueberries
blueberry
was a
farm.
blueberry.
Right, most people do.
It's blue.
Yeah, it's blue. We have, I think, I want to say 11 different types of blueberries on the farm, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
There are some that come on earlier in the season, some that come on later in the season, which is again why we can't mechanically harvest because you can't just do a foul
Can't just
swoop.
shake a whole.
Also, it's a heritage
Yeah.
farm, so they're not like one row is not necessarily the entire same variety. And then there are some heritage varieties where they're meant to be long lasting. So the whole plant does not turn blue at the same time. So to mechanically harvest that, you can't
Yeah.
until maybe the end of the year. So that's where mechanically harvesting comes in for us primarily is for wine production. So we'll go in at the end of the year once everything's kind of at where we're at, clean everything up. And then we can easily make that into blueberry wine
Yeah.
or blueberry cider.
Yeah. Is there a certain variety that you like to use for certain things?
Yeah, there's different varieties have different style, like of juiciness and sweetness. Like there's some that are a little bit more tart and some that are a little more sweet. So like things that are a little bit more sweet, like to me those are baked good ones, right? Like I want to make scones or
Blueberry
pie. Yeah, we're like been really seeing. I think maybe the first person who did it that I saw was Autumn from Thrive. She in her cookbook did a like blueberry Pop-Tart.
Yes.
And I was like, that is
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah. I was there for the
Yeah.
opening, and she had that was one of the things she picked from the book to make at the.
It's so yummy. Yeah. So I just like in my head, I'm like, that's like any of the sweet berries. That's where I'm going. Jam,
Yeah.
all of that, right? The kind of more tart ones, those to me are snack. I'm like, I like that a little bit more balanced acidity.
Yeah. I've been at like a Dusty Zemenix blueberry
Yep.
harvest, and I think most of that goes to grocers. So it's plump, bright, sweet.
Yeah.
It's like you're eating dessert.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're crazy good. Yeah, they have a larger volume of blueberries than I think they're one of the largest growers in Ontario.
Yeah,
I'd
they're
say.
strictly commercial.
Yeah. So
supplier.
we do a lot of commercial. The vast majority of our blueberries that we sell are getting picked up and taken to a grocer.
Okay.
But we also sell them on site
Yeah.
in our market, and then we make them into other things. So the wine, preserves, baked goods,
Do you keep
smoothies.
like when you ferment it into the blueberries? Are you keeping the skins on?
Yeah, color.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, same.
Okay.
The blueberry wine, the exact same process as you would make a grape wine.
So you could make like a white blueberry wine if you.
You could if you like charcoal filtered it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%. I don't know that you would want to.
Because that was sort of new to me when I was getting into wine. Was like you can make a white wine from a red grape, and I was like, how does that work? Like, we'll just take the skins off.
Yeah,
that's what makes it red.
Yeah. Innisphere has that. That's like my favorite example of that process. Is their like gray area, I think it's called, where they make a Pinot Noir rosé. Yeah, so traditional red grape variety.
Like, not that their wine wasn't bad before, but just the quality has very
everywhere
increased,
across this area. It's impressive to me because I get to taste a lot of that because of the beverage association that we're part of. And every year, like, the wine quality just gets better and better and better. And there are people who haven't come to see us since we only made fruit wine, and it was always amazing to pour for those people. Yeah, because it's just a little bit of I guess we have a little bit of a chip on our shoulder, like you discounted us or like you overlooked us or whatever. Yeah. And now we're like, boom, award-winning grape wine. Haha. Check us out now. And so there's a little bit of that, which is good. And like that we have so much going on, which a lot of people don't know, even locals who are from here. Yeah.
What do you got going on?
Well, I mean, just in general, the fortified
everything
wines.
We've talked about.
Everything we talked about, like the fortified wine. I think that really surprises people. I think people who have come to see us, and like we started making cider like years and years ago, because to us, cider was just an extension of fruit wine, right? Making a blueberry wine and making an apple wine. That's what cider is. Like, sorry, cider people. It's carbonated apple wine. It just happens to be low alcohol. It has more in common with wine than it does in beer. It's just the way it goes.
Do you like a drier cider?
I like a drier, but you know what? We talked about this earlier. I like all styles. Like, there's a time and a place for all of that. Same as cocktails. Like, what's my favorite cocktail? Couldn't tell you. Depends on time.
Now that you say that, because you don't ever refer to beer or anything else as dry, right? But cider you do.
Yeah, because it's like a fruit wine. It's a wine. It's a carbonated fruit wine. And so for us, it was a real easy, natural progression of making fruit wine and then making a apple-based, low-alcohol fruit wine that happened to be carbonated, that happened to have blueberries and blackberries in it. Like, that was the first thing that we came up with for cider. And it was a real natural extension of what we already had going on. Yeah. And so there are people who will come and try some of the ciders now that we have, like a bourbon barrel cider, or, like some of our small batch stuff we'll make like a single keg of and just put it on tap for a weekend and be like, hey guys, we made a raspberry cider. Yeah. Because someone came to us and was like, hey, I've got a bucket of raspberries. We're like, okay. We're like the place where people just go and like dump their fruit. Yeah. We're like, it's like orphanage for fruit. Yeah. It's what we are, truly. So nice of you. We will take, Nick takes everything and he'll normally find a way to make it special, which is crazy cool. It's my favorite thing about him, because like when Villanova closed, so they were one of the oldest, if not the oldest, vineyard in Norfolk County. When they sold and then they ripped up all of those grapes, all of the wine that was still in tank and in bottle, like there was a bunch of it, right? So they were selling that off. And people were like talking about buying it or talking about taking it to blend into other projects. And Nick was like, no, like that is like a mentor of mine's last wine.
Especially being the last batch,
Like, that's special.
Just honor it.
Yeah. We became the careful caretakers of those final projects, right? So we bottled them separate. They were called the same things that they were called there. It was a ability for people to buy the same wine that they had there.
A lot of respect there, yeah.
Yeah, and we have kept some of it in the cellar because we want to be able to refer back to it. But people will continually do that, is what I'm trying to say. Is that like the Simcoe Research Station, we're lucky enough to get some of those grapes. So Simcoe Research Station researches a bunch of different fruit, right? Like tons of stuff. But what they're studying for grapes with U of G is vine, like in rootstock. What rootstock is going to allow us to grow fantastic grape wines here in Norfolk County, specifically in this terroir. And so when they're talking about that, they're getting like grapes off of this vineyard, but it's like a teeny tiny amount. And for the vast majority of people, they're just going to go, okay, great, we're going to put that into X project, whatever. Like it's good wine, it's nice quality, cool, fine. We made like 8 cases of Pinot Noir from the Simcoe Research Station. Like we'll make there was like a ridiculous amount of Chardonnay 2 years ago. And so we kept it separate and we just released it as like a wine club thing. Like we will do projects like that where they're like, oh, we really like, this is so special and such a unique product, but like, we don't know where to, Nick's like, give it to me.
And so they're just researching.
It's what they're doing.
And
they're
they
just
want
researching.
you to do stuff with it.
They want us to do stuff with it.
Huh.
It's so cool.
I didn't know about this.
Oh, it's incredible. It's
Yeah.
such a cool project.
That's really cool. Is it government funded?
I think probably a
subsidized
MAFA or
or
something,
something?
or like
Okay.
there's some sort of agricultural assist
Okay.
there for sure. But U of G, yeah, they're like the big spearhead behind it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really cool. Real cool work. And so there's, I think, Pinot Noir and Chardonnay planted there, and we get that, and it's magic.
I wonder, are
those
they
grapes.
looking into things that can be more durable over winter?
That's exactly
Okay,
what they're
yeah.
researching. So basically, rootstock that would be traditional in this area on like or different types of rootstock that have grown, in order to give them better vine health overall.
Because that a little off topic, but like I think Bix gets all their cucumbers from India just because there's no winter in most of it.
Oh.
And so instead of like one harvest season of cucumbers, they
like-
have like 6.
Oh, well, shit. Okay.
And so they have 6x times the cucumber yield.
Wow. I hear cucumbers are going to be one of the vegetables that are very hard to get this year, apparently.
Just because of everything going on.
Yeah, apparently.
Grow them.
I
Grow them in
know,
your
I
backyard.
guess
everybody.
yeah, that's your spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Plant it now if you can find it.
Cucumber's a good one.
Yeah.
You ever hear the Jamaican guy rap about? He does like reggae about
Oh, yeah,
cucumbers.
yeah.
He I can't even mimic it. It's it's so beautiful. He's just like rap about cucumbers, and he starts rapping about electrolytes, all this stuff,
my
and like
God.
this reggae.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's funny.
I love cucumbers.
Cucumbers are great.
They are.
Good to add to
Easy.
water. I made this wonderful. I had Raxy Gardens on, and I made like a cucumber gin martini, and it's
Yummy.
just cucumbers. Just
My favorite cucumber is a pickle.
okay. A pickle martini, that would be good.
Yeah.
Sort of like a dirty.
Yeah.
Instead of all of these.
I'm playing with the idea of, this is not related to cucumbers, but dirty martinis. Playing with an idea with the dry white vermouth to do like in my brain it works, like a sour cream and onion martini. Like I want like, instead of like a pickle, I want like a pickled onion on top, but I don't know how. Like I want I want a sidecar of chips. Like I want the sour cream and onion chips to be on the
Would
side.
you want the drink to be like creamy?
I think I want to do a fat wash.
Would you? Oh,
Right?
a fat wash.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So what if you fat washed the gin with sour cream, and then in my brain this works. Don't know if it will work in reality, but like almost like an onion or like an onion herb infusion with the vermouth, and then you just make a really good martini, and then you have a pickled onion on top, and it's served with like a ruffled sour cream and onion chip.
I think you've got something.
In my brain, I'm like, yes, I want this.
Got something there. Like, you could also juice an onion.
Yeah, well, then my other thought was, could I not just mash a bunch of sour cream and onion chips
That could also work.
into gin?
or
And then just make sure you're filtering it, because that's the other thing that's fun about us and making drinks, is that like I have all the equipment for wine, so like
Yeah.
I can filter that
you could like
properly.
You could rim the glass with
like a
seasoning or something.
I know. Anyways,
I'm gonna
workshop
have to,
it.
Okay,
Workshop it.
Let me know, and then I'll
You'll come and
put
taste.
it on. Yeah, I'll
You can
have to
come.
make
You
it.
can come taste test and approve.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That's-
In my head, I just think it will work. I love a dirty martini.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about cocktails earlier. I love a dirty martini.
Dirty martinis is my shit.
Yeah.
Dirty martini.
But
Espresso
it's because of the olives.
Yeah.
The
Are you-
I like anything with snack.
vodka.
A gin.
You like a? I'm a vodka.
Oh, I
Yeah.
like vodka. Sometimes I will have a vodka martini. Mostly if I don't want to taste anything. Right? Like it's just then it's really about the olives.
Yeah, I like a dirty like Grey Goose martini.
Yeah,
And I
fair.
just want the brininess. Yeah.
Yeah. I like the Tanqueray. I want to say 45, 55. It's some sort of number. It's
Yeah.
like their fancier premium Tanqueray.
Okay.
Really good.
Okay.
Yeah, check it out. It has a nice bottle. Playback.
Yes. Green.
Yes.
Very
yes. Very
specific
fancy.
shape.
Yeah, very fancy top. It's gorgeous.
I've been playing around a little bit with Empress, which is really cool because it changes color.
Yeah, the pea shoots with
Yeah.
citrus.
So cool.
Yeah.
Do you know Empress?
No, I don't.
Yeah, it's like a
I'll show you a
purple.
bottle right now.
Yeah, it's like a purple gin, but it's purple because of the pea shoot infusion. But when you put citrus with the purple, it turns blue.
Huh.
It looks so cool in cocktails. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Look at
Or
that.
it's blue and it turns purple. Whatever the science is. It's so cool.
Look at that, eh?
They're out.
Cool.
Are they out west?
Yeah.
Out west, right?
Yeah,
From
British
Vancouver?
Columbia, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, Victoria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See?
Yep.
Oh,
But
look
it'll
at
go
me.
like this lavender color.
Yeah, it's so cool. Yeah, it's blue and starts blue, turns purple.
Well, I made a cocktail for an episode and I call it Lavender Haze.
Oh, thank you.
Love
it.
It was lavender, and I would add the citrus at the end just
Yeah.
as a show.
Yeah.
And stir it for the guests, and
The
then
drama.
it changes color. And like, oh my
Oh,
goodness.
no. Right?
Yeah, I got
The
lavender.
magic of cocktails. I love it.
Lavender Hill. Did I go to? What's the one near Waterford?
That's Lavender Hill.
Yeah, so is that Lavender
Yeah,
Hill?
yeah.
Okay, I
think
confuse
so.
that and Bonnie Heath, and there's a bunch.
Lavender. Yeah. You know
There's a
what?
bunch.
Norfolk
Yeah.
grows great lavender.
So I got that. Made some simple syrup with it.
Nice.
Did the Empress egg white.
Delicious.
Add the lemon
Meringue.
at the end. Meringue. I'm gonna
Meringue.
use that.
You have to.
Meringue.
People get weirded out about egg white, but if you call it meringue, all of a sudden they're like, oh, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
sign me up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you would have just drank it if you didn't get psyched yourself out about egg whites.
I get it. It's weird.
I don't think it's that weird.
I don't, but like I can get
can
into
understand
that
other
person's
people's.
head, and I
All right, fair. I'm not that understanding.
eggs weird a lot of people out. I know
that's
a
why you call
few
them meringue.
Sorry, meringue. Just like raw eggs in any kind of dish.
Yeah.
I think
I think raw in general sometimes can weird people out.
people are like, oh, salmonella. It's like it's
Yeah.
more so the egg shell that would carry the salmonella, not the
Yeah.
egg inside of it.
100%.
So if you have a dirty egg, but I don't know, depends where you're getting it from.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I had a cousin move to Jarvis. I'm from Hamilton, so we all grew up in Hamilton. She's out here now and just went full-blown country. Goats, chickens, ducks, a dog.
Love it.
Lots of land,
Yep.
ponds, and so that's where I like to get my eggs now.
I love it.
Yeah.
On my way to drop the kids off at school, there's an egg farmer, and I always just buy roadside eggs.
Nice. It's the
But we
best.
also have ducks, so we will have
Oh.
duck eggs, but they only lay, we only have 5, so they lay like 3 eggs a day. So it's not enough if I want to do like baking or cocktails, because Nick's a country boy. He
Yeah.
eats eggs and toast
Are
pretty
you
much every
from
morning.
Nor-
No.
Where are you from?
No, Burlington, born. Yeah.
Okay, so we're neighbors.
Yeah. And then my parents, I always say, like, they just kept moving us further east. So we lived in Pickering for a little while. We lived in Oshawa for a little while. Lived in Bowmanville for a little while. That's when I called Taylor Swift. And then I went to school in Peterborough.
Okay.
And then looped back around, basically. So I've been here now for 12 years. So I guess I have to start calling Norfolk home. Like,
Yeah.
when people say, are you from here? This is the longest I've lived in one place. So
I'm on,
I
like-
should probably say yes.
What am I on, year 9 possibly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. See? It's
Am
one
I
of those
local?
things. I think after 10, it really,
So I'm 1 year away.
yeah.
Okay.
When it's like a decade, ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Then it's real.
Get referred to as a transplant.
Yeah. It's funny because you growing up in the city, you know this. It's like no one's from there, right?
No.
Right. Like it just doesn't happen. But suddenly when you're in Norfolk, it's one of the things that like people ask you all the time, are you from here?
They're prideful of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I love it.
there was some pride in Hamilton for sure.
Oh, 100%.
People are very prideful about
Yeah,
Hamilton.
yeah.
I still am.
But you don't have to be from there. Like it's not like, oh, where are you from?
Nobody asks that.
No.
Yeah.
They're like, how long have you lived here? Like
I
that
was
type
saying
of vibe.
I can notice sometimes if you're not from here just by the way you drive.
You know how I know someone's
How do
not
you
from
know?
here? When they show up 30 minutes early.
Ah, yes.
I'm like, that's such a Norfolk trait.
Yes.
I love it. And I had to adjust to it because like when we throw like special events and stuff, like people will be at the door trying to come in like half hour, 45 minutes beforehand. And I'm like, what are you doing here? Like in the city, you don't show up till 15 minutes after. Like at the earliest.
Traffic. things.
I think that's why, though. I think it's from here. You don't know quite how long it's going to take
And the
you.
distance.
The distance throws you off a bit.
Yeah.
And so then they're always arriving and they're just like awkwardly like, I'm like, okay, well, I had stuff I was going to do this last 30 minutes.
I will be there late.
Yeah.
I am still there
Thank
late.
goodness. Well, because you're not from here.
Yeah.
That's my towel.
Can you relate to this, Bobby?
I feel so called out right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
I was sitting outside your driveway for
See?
like 15 minutes.
See?
And I'm texting him, I'm in Simcoe. I'm going to be a half hour. Like,
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
no worries, I'm already here.
Yeah, it's fine. I'll just let myself in. Yeah, it's one of those things that like it blows my mind.
Yeah.
I moved here because I met Nick. That's why I'm from. Why I'm.
How did you meet him?
Oh, this is a good story.
Yeah.
So when I met Nick, I had just finished up my time at Wine Access. I was working as a freelance like social media consultant and writer, like in Bowmanville. And he was working abroad at Ponzi Vineyards, which is one of the like founding wineries in Oregon. So he was down there for harvest. And we had been apparently following each other on Twitter for like, I don't know, probably 2-3 years because of his background in wine and my background in wine. And so we have all this old like tweets at each other, like shit talking football teams and like talking about bourbon.
Yeah.
And all of this like back and forth. Both of us were like dating other people, like all of this stuff. And then I don't know what, some tweet, I think it was about Luke Bryan. That was what it did. And I messaged him and he was like, oh, hey, like, who's this lovely lady? And Twitter is not a platform upon which to creep anybody, right? Like you can see their words,
really.
but you can't like, you don't know anything about them. So he was like, add me to Facebook. I'm like, oh, okay. This is how old we are. And so added each other on Facebook and it was like 5 minutes of like radio silence. Both of us were like hardcore stalking each other to be like, is this person cute? Are they my age-ish? Like, what do they do? And so then we started talking on like Facebook Messenger and we talked every single day while he was away. And that was, I don't know, September. I like picked him up at the airport in Buffalo, having never met him before. We went wine tasting for our first date, and then I drove him home to Norfolk, dropped him off, met his family that weekend.
Wow, hardcore.
Right into it.
And then that was like, I want to say October, November. And then January, I moved here.
Wow.
And started a business, started working together.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we got married 3 years after that.
Okay.
Babies.
2 kids now.
Rest is history.
Yeah.
So that's how we met. That was crazy.
Okay.
Both of us though, like when we met at the airport, we were like, okay, we have to message our moms to let them know like we're alive because it was like my mom was like, no, this is a bad idea. Like you've never met this person. I was like, I've been talking to him for like 6 to 8 weeks, like every day.
Yeah.
And she was like, you might die there. And I was like, it is Buffalo. Yeah. So that's how we met. And so people assume that like when we go to places and like obviously owning a business together now, people are always like, oh, you just met Nick. And like, that's how you know about wine. Like that was your experience with wine, is that you guys were dating, then you got married, and now you know about wine. And I'm like, no. Like I have a whole other life story,
whole other
previous
career around
life,
it, yeah.
previous life prior to Nick,
Yeah.
that has shaped what and I bring to the business. And
Yeah.
like there's a reason why that we're together, and it's a mutual love of wine and alcohol products.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Cheers to that.
yeah.
I drank all mine.
I know, mine too.
Yeah, mine's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well,
speaking,
see,
speaking
it was
of our
good.
drinks, what do we have in it, Amanda?
Oh, we had Norfolk County's first ever.
Oh, you want
port.
to pass me your port?
Yeah.
Or you can.
No, you do it. So Azul Noir. Azul meaning blue, obviously. Right?
Yeah.
Noir, red. It is a base of blueberry wine, but also like grape wine, like red grape wine. That was fermented, went through the same process as if you were turning it into wine. And then you stop fermentation with like a really big dump of high proof alcohol, brandy, ideally. I don't think we can call it brandy in Canada, or maybe, I don't know.
But
There's some legalities around that, but for sure. But essentially like a wine-based spirit. Stop the fermentation while it's still sweet. And then we aged it in oak barrels. So it's first ever port style wine from Norfolk County.
Cool.
There's not a ton in Ontario, to be honest. Like
Port's
when we were
very
researching
European.
it, very European.
The only reason I know where it's from is I had a friend just come from Portugal.
Yeah.
And it's from Port. Portugal, right?
Port. Yeah, Porto. Yeah.
Port. Yeah.
Nailed
Porto.
it.
That's
Good
it.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the Spain has their own sort of version called Cellars.
Yeah, a lot of people like that's more sherry, I think. But
Okay.
yeah, it's similar.
Yeah.
Similar
fortified
concept.
wine,
Yeah, fortified wine. Fortified wine in general, I feel like is huge in Europe.
Yeah.
Becoming more popular here slowly. I think people are interested by the flavor profile in terms of like it being, I think as Canadians, we know what ice wine is. So like something that's sweet-ish like that is kind of appeals to us a little bit for after dinner drinking, digestif.
Yeah.
And then fortified wines like our vermouths are lower in alcohol. So when you're mixing them in cocktails, they create a lower ABV cocktail overall, which I think is obviously a huge trend right now as we're kind of seeing people do that low to no or look for something as an alternative to drink. Low to no.
Like one of my favorite drinks is a Negroni, right?
Yeah.
But if that vermouth was the same alcohol content as the other two components, Campari's low too, I guess.
Yes.
So,
yeah. So they're both like 22. And I think Aperol is like, I want to say it's even lower. It's like 18. Our vermouths are 18. So if you wanted to do like a vermouth spritz, which is one of my favorite like spring summer drinks, like a white vermouth, just like an ounce, and then like tonic or soda.
Okay.
A little bit of lemon. Delicious.
And
low alcohol, but
vermouth?
still feels like you're drinking something because the texture's there.
Yes, and the flavors.
Right? You're not just like adding, like a lot of people play around with, I think that's why playing around with tea when you're making like a non-alcoholic cocktail is so successful because of mouthfeel. Because sometimes like if you've had a bad mocktail, it's just juice. And you're like, that's boring.
Yeah.
That's not.
You want some complexity to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And they're very complex, right? There's like 20 plus herbs, botanicals.
That's what I was getting to. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Vermouth has like a lot of different things.
It does. So same kind of idea. So you start with like a white wine or a red wine base, depending on what you're making. And then my kind of job or responsibility is taking a neutral spirit base and you infuse them. So for the sweet red vermouth, we're talking like sweet orange peel, bitter orange peel, lemon, like dried, rosemary, sage, sandalwood. I love sandalwood. What else is in there? Cinnamon, nutmeg, clove, all those baking spices are all really evident. So I feel like that's kind of its vibe. And that goes into the neutral spirit because spirit is the higher proof really allows you to add more flavor. So the higher alcohol allows you to create a little bit more depth versus trying to infuse it with something that's lower in alcohol.
I guess that makes sense because when you get vanilla extract, it's alcohol. It's because alcohol.
100%. Vanilla, that's in there as well. Yep. So it's so that sits and then we strain that off, obviously, and then that base, that alcoholic base, gets added to the wine.
Okay.
And then filtered and bottled.
And you were using like a form of brandy, you were saying?
For that, I just use like a neutral spirit because there's so much else going on that you really don't need flavor profile.
Yeah,
right?
You don't need to add more.
Yeah. It's already got like it's
that
got
was just
everything.
The port.
Just the port. The port has the brandy. The white vermouth, that's more like same thing, right? So white wine base, and then the spirit is instilled with like lots of citrus, grapefruit, lemon, orange, bitter and sweet. And then like my vibe for it, because I love a dirty martini, is I really wanted to play up those citrus. So there's like Earl Grey almost, because I love that flavor profile of Earl Grey.
Yeah.
With like that olive brininess is really yummy.
Okay.
Bergamot.
Yeah, bergamot. Yeah.
And yeah, there's still a little bit of cinnamon. There's still like a little bit of star anise. Again, a lot of herbaceousness coming from like sage and rosemary. I'm trying to think about tarragon.
Oh, tarragon's good.
Yeah. So there's a bunch. Marjoram, which I grew.
What is that?
It's a herb.
A herb?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Chamomile. So
Yeah.
lots going on.
Yeah.
And you have to figure out, this is why I went to school for it, because my capstone project was a sweet red vermouth there. And the instructor, Dave, was really awesome in explaining that basically when you're working with that many ingredients, to be so nitpicky as to play with 40 different instruments and try to get all of their levels right
orchestra.
is crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Like you'll lose your mind. So the best thing he taught us was like group like things together. So if you come up with a herb blend and you try your herb blend and you go, that needs less rosemary, you can fix that when it's in a group versus like it being in a whole project and then going, oh, the rose is overpowering, this is going on, blah, blah, blah. Like it's just too many moving pieces. So there was like a herbal blend, there's a floral blend, a citrus blend, a bitter element blend, and then all the fixers, right? Things that grow naturally, botanicals and things that help keep the scent and the flavor in the product. And create texture as well. So those are all in there. And then you were able to kind of get where you're happy with those like 5 categories. And once you're happy with that, then you put them together.
Okay.
So it was a really like, it's a smarter way of looking at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you could go at it and go, okay, like I want to have rose. I want to have like hibiscus maybe. Like we toyed around with playing with hibiscus when we were doing our capstone at Niagara College. And we kind of broke it out. We were like equal parts. And then we tried it and we're like, no, that doesn't work. Okay, so it's going to be more primarily of this, less of this. Okay, cool. So then when you're there, then at least like you could go, I need less floral and more citrus rather than having to adjust 5 things. You're only adjusting 1.
How long does it take to make a bottle of vermouth?
You just need the wine, right? The wine's going to take the longest part.
Right. Because your program was a year, right? Mm-hmm. And how do you make that many wines in a year?
Right. So that's what was awesome about Niagara College is that they also have like a winemaking program.
Yes.
So they made the wine base and then we were able to work with them in conjunction and be like, hey, what do you have? What's been in barrel already? That's like sitting there. If we want that oak influence, or do we not want that oak influence? Like, where do we land? What do you have lots of, right? Because that's the other thing. It's like, if I'm going to be infusing a bunch of herbs and things into it, do I really want your top tier wine? No.
Probably not.
No.
Yeah.
Let's keep that separate and let that shine.
Yeah.
So we want stuff that has like a decent body. That's really important. And like, you don't want it to be offensive because trying to fix something that's offensive is like, you're just doing too much work.
Yeah.
That's what I always say to people when they're trying to make sangria and they're like using like really crap wine and they're like, why does the sangria taste like crap? And I'm like, because you started with crap wine.
They're thinking, let's use a cheap one because you're going to be disguising it.
You're not.
But the base
it has to be good
still crap. Yeah.
Like it still needs to be good.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be excellent. Please don't make excellent, but like it has to be good.
Yeah.
Also like make a fruit wine. Use a fruit wine because you're trying to turn like a dry, super dry tannic red wine normally into something fruity. And I'm like, just start with fruit wine and you're half the way there.
Yeah.
Hello.
And the tannins in a wine kind of, is that what make you go?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's the tannins, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Tannins are naturally occurring. Some people ask us about if they, if we add them, which is fun.
I just sprinkle a little bit in.
And I mean, I think it's not a dumb question because like in this world of wine, there is a lot, like a big push from consumers to be like, these are the ingredients in a wine because some commercial wine will add all sorts of crazy stuff, right? Like mega purple is a thing that just adds color.
Oh no.
It's just a chemical, like, or an additive. I don't know, it's probably not a chemical, but it's like an additive.
Yeah.
And it can just like make your wine look darker, which people associate with it being good.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's richer.
But it's not.
Yeah.
And all you did was add mega purple.
Oh.
So like
purple.
there's this like this call amongst consumers, which I think is fair, to be like, hey, what's in this? Like, is it actually all grapes? Or are you adding additives to make things more acidic or less acidic or more body or less body? Like, what are you doing?
Or I do know of
or
like
more tannin.
Gretzky will dip, right? As opposed to age.
Yep. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
to get
Wood
that.
staves. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Which is different.
It also is, I mean, that is more eco-friendly. So
Oh, okay.
pros, cons.
I guess you don't have to.
Not that I'm a big pro right now of that stuff, but like, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, it's sort of like steeping as opposed to
exactly.
aging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I think there's people calling out for that to be like, we want more clarity, we want more authenticity, which I think is valid and
Yeah.
we should be doing. But if you just, it's dumb because I'm like, what do you mean? Like, it's just, we just don't add anything. So why should we have to add something to our label? Or it's naturally occurring, like sulfites, which is fun that we have to say contains sulfites, like as if we're like,
It's in the water, right?
a byproduct of wine and fermentation is sulfites.
Oh,
so there's
okay.
like, they're naturally occurring.
Naturally.
You also can add sulfur, right? Because sulfur is a preservative. And if your wine is coming from somewhere like Portugal or Georgia or wherever, and it's going to sit on a tanker and coming across the ocean, and then it's going to sit in a warehouse,
You'll need some of that.
you probably should have some.
Does it affect the taste?
No.
Oh, okay.
And you know where more sulfur is than in an average glass of wine?
No.
French fries.
No way.
And cured meat. So if you can eat French fries and cured meat and not get a headache, and then you come and complain that you have a sulfur allergy, I think it's maybe more about the volume of the wine that you're drinking.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Like
Or there's something else in there and you're just blaming it on sulfur, right? If you're drinking, really generic, really large scale commercial wine.
Boxed wine.
Yeah. Well, not even all box wine is bad, but like there certainly is some bad box wine. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's juice. That's like IDB, which is International Domestic Blends. They're what is on the Support Ontario shelves right now.
Okay.
Because everybody has lots of volume of them, because they sell really well. So they are very well stocked. So these are blended wines that consumers are being tricked into told that they're supporting Canadian wine because they have, primarily a brand that's known for being Canadian. So Peller would be probably one of the larger examples, or Jackson Triggs. I feel like those are brands that people, if they know wine, are kind of immediately assuming, oh, that's Canadian. Okay, cool. And some of their wine is, which is what is tricky. And then some of their wine is international domestic blends or domestic international blends. And
Does that mean?
so if you wanted to bottle it that way, and only certain people can, it can contain up to, I think, 70% international wine.
Okay.
And the other percentage is Canadian wine that's blended together.
Okay.
But is that product Canadian to you if it contains grape juice from, say, I don't know.
I was talking about
Argentina?
this with somebody else regarding tech, and to be classified as Canadian, it just needs to 60% of it needs to be assembled here.
Right?
But all the products can come from anywhere. It just needs to be assembled here, and
Right.
60% of it.
Yeah.
And then you get that
That-
stamp.
Yeah. So it's the exact same thing, but it's being shelved on a government monopoly store with probably some Canadian woo around it. And normally very, very close to VQA Ontario products that are actually 100% grown here, made here.
Yeah.
And so I feel like they have the same brand names from these products. So how is that not consuming or confusing to a consumer who's like, I have been to Jackson Triggs. I went there in Niagara. We went on a bachelorette trip and we had a great time. And of course it's Canadian wine. And then they get home and you flip it over and then it says made from international and domestic grapes. Like, I think it's a trick that they're playing, and they're able to do it because their products are cheap.
Yeah, in a way, yes, you are supporting a Canadian company because they're the ones that made it.
Yep.
Whether the grapes were grown there or
Yep.
not.
But I mean, they're probably blending it because I'm betting they're buying juice, not grapes. But yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, bit of a gray area.
I know, it's a huge gray area. I don't have a problem with it because I feel like wine needs to be affordable, and a lot of Ontario wine is very overpriced. However, I feel like they should have to come up with a different brand, come up with a different name.
Is it overpriced because of all of the red tape, perhaps?
I'm sure that's part of it.
Ontario?
I'm sure it's part of it. Yeah. I think also like there's, a babysitting fee for holding on to wine, right? That's just sitting there in barrel and you're not selling it, you're aging it. So some of that comes into play.
But why is it when you go to like France per se, you can grab a decent bottle of red for like €5?
Yeah.
Are they doing something differently? Why is
I
it
don't
cheaper?
know. I think volume,
Volume,
they're
maybe?
making more of it, right? So it's their same kind of style. And I think also like for us, for Canada, I think the way forward with that is probably hybrids, which people are still like shoo-shooing about because years and years ago when hybrid varieties came out, they were not well made. And
So you're talking about like a Noir and a Franc. Is it like one hybrid?
Exactly.
I see.
So they're called, so traditional grapevine is Vitis vinifera.
Okay.
Hybrid grape varieties are not of that subset. They are normally created by different universities. So down in California is a great one at UC Davis. And then in Minnesota, the University of Minnesota has developed a couple of hybrids as well.
Okay.
Most of them I feel like in the late 90s, early 2000s. So like things that we grow on our farm that grow well, like Petite Pearl or Marquette.
Yes, we
have been
run into a Marquette recently. Yeah.
The thing about them is that when they're planted, and this I think is more of an issue in Niagara than it is with some emerging wine regions, is that they grow so well. They almost grow too well. And for a grape grower, you have to still drop fruit. Like you still have to focus on quality. And it's easy to get deterred by quantity when who's paying you is buying the volume. And if you're not going to get a high price tag for it because it's not a Vitis vinifera, it's a hybrid, so we're going to pay you less, then you need to focus on volume. And when you do that, you're not treating the grapes with respect. But they grow really well and they don't cost as much money to produce. And so if we're talking about ways to lower a price tag on an average bottle of wine, blending those into a product instead of using something like Mega Purple is a really great resource.
Yeah, no kidding.
And they take less work in the vineyard, so you're using less chemical, like you're using less spray, you're using less all of that stuff generally. They're easier to pick, I find, as well. They grow really well. So the maintenance of them costs way less. You just have to be committed to making good wine from it. And that starts in the vineyard.
Yeah.
And everything you're doing and treating them with the same respect. But if you do that, then I think like they can make some stellar wines. We've made stellar wines from them. So I know it can be done. And I've tasted some incredible examples. And what is good about them is that they can create a product. That's how we're able to put something like House Party on the shelf at $18.95.
Yeah.
Right?
It's just an old industry pushing back against change.
Oh, they sure are.
Yeah. It's not a very liberal industry. It's ancient, you know?
Yeah. And I think like when they first came out, hybrids they got a bad rap, right? They were kind of foxy, which is like, it tastes how it sounds.
Okay.
It's not a good descriptor. And they can get a little gross, but if you treat them well, they can be really fantastic. And able to work them into what we're doing, I think is a way forward to like more entry point level, affordable, hopefully VQA Ontario wine.
Yeah.
VQA Ontario as the governing board gets to dictate which grapes are allowed to be VQA Ontario and be put on the label and which ones are not. So for instance, Marquette is and has been on the VQA approved list for quite some time. This past year, Matt from Hounds of Erie in particular has been a really big champion as part of our like Toast the Coast Wine Association, Beverage Association, championing Marquette and Petite Pearl and trying to get them onto these lists because he believes in some of them so thoroughly. And some of them have been added or basically that has to go through VQA. We voted on it. It's all good. VQA said it's like a little thing. It's got to go off to the premier and he's got to approve it through actual channels of our government and add it. So that's so crazy to me that there's that much politics involved. But if you didn't know, we had an election, so they're kind of a little busy this spring. So it hasn't been tabled.
Why is that there in place? Is it just because they don't want anybody growing anything?
I think because they want to control the quality, right?
Quality
VQA
control.
all comes back to quality assurance
Okay.
for the consumer.
Okay.
So that when they see VQA, they know that it's a quality wine. Okay. What we're arguing for and what I think like we want is that if they're all being treated with the same amount of respect, and if they all have to go to a tasting panel and be tried, which they all do, right? So if you make a Pinot Noir, they have to go to a tasting panel. Someone's got to try it and go, yeah, it tastes like Pinot Noir. Okay, great. So if we're going to do that with Marquette or whatever it might be, Petit Pearl or Le Cage Blanc, whatever, if we're still going to do all of those steps and it's still a good wine, who cares? Right? Like, and it grows here and it grows well. If we're still going to make a quality product and there's still places like control in those steps, what's the difference?
Yeah, why would they say no after?
Why would you say no?
All the due diligence.
If all the diligence is being done.
Yeah, but they might.
They might, because old school, sometimes they're like, no, thank you. We don't want them. Remember the 70s? It was so bad. You guys made such crap wine. And it's like, we've grown a lot since then.
I got to ask from your opinion, and just bartending and things like this and serving. A lot of people will come in and I'll explain wines to them, and I'm like, I get this sometimes. I don't drink Ontario wine. Where is that coming from? All the wine I've had is fantastic. I'm not a sommelier.
No.
I'm not an expert.
No.
I do love wine. Ontario wine is great.
Yeah.
But people, no, I only drink European wine or...
Yeah, I mean, the easy answer is pretension, right? Like, that's what they're used to. And there's still this attitude that they're the only countries that can make good wine or great wine. There is fantastic wine coming from Ontario. And some of it is as good, if not better, than some of those countries that have been making wine for way longer. And I think, when the Ontario wine industry started in its youth, maybe some of the examples weren't up to snuff, maybe, right?
Growing pains.
Yeah. We're incredibly young as a wine industry.
As a country.
Yeah. We're just us. We're just incredibly young. And so I think some of that pushback normally comes from people who have tried Ontario wine when it first came out, and they just have not given it a second look. Right? Yeah. So that's definitely like a segment of the population.
Yeah.
The second segment of that is perhaps stylistically, like maybe some younger drinkers are looking for a specific style of wine that they enjoy, and maybe Ontario doesn't make that.
Yeah, like we can't grow Shiraz here, right? It's not hot enough.
Very few people grow Shiraz successfully in Ontario. However, I would argue that some of my favorite Syrah Shiraz is from BC.
Is that, how do you say it?
Well,
is it Syrah?
Oh my God, no, there's two ways to say it. This is what's annoying about the wine industry sometimes.
Okay.
It's like
pickerel.
Yeah. No, it's the same grape and it's called two different things depending where it's grown.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have this funny thing with Bobby. What's the quick explanation with the fish?
That people call walleye pickerel. Yeah. So you go to a restaurant and they have like the pickerel and chips.
Yeah.
But it's a walleye.
It's a walleye.
It's the same.
Walleye.
Yeah.
It's similar.
Kind of the same.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's fancy. It's fancy government name.
What do you say, Shiraz?
Again, it depends where it's from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Shiraz, I think, is warm climate.
Yes.
Right. Typically, so like Aussie, Australian Shiraz. If you were having a Syrah from Vancouver, from BC, Syrah, or France, Syrah.
Syrah, yeah, that's where I assumed it would have been French.
Yeah,
Syrah,
of course,
Shiraz.
exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's the difference.
It's a good grape. It's spicy.
It's a great grape,
right?
Yeah,
Is that
peppery.
just because of why is it pepper? Is it just the heat or?
Yes.
Interesting. I guess we don't
grow it. No, I would say I think so. Stylistically, like if you're looking for a specific style of grape, there's generally an answer in that category. It may not be the exact same thing, and sometimes people don't want to explore, right? So they know what they like, and they know where to get it. And so why am I going to try something new that I might not like?
Yeah,
right. That's always the problem.
There could be some psychology too. It's like, oh, this one came from all the way in Italy, and maybe they've never been there
it's
before.
So romantic,
so there's some
right?
mystery to it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's from Florence.
Well, that's why people are all about cork, and I hate cork. All of our wines are screw cap now, every single one, and it's on purpose, because I know corks are romantic, and there's that like, oh, we're gonna pop some bubbly. Like even our bubbles is under like a beer crown cap, because it's easy to use, and it makes sure that the wine tastes as good as when we bottled it, and it's going to taste how I want it to taste.
Oh, cork's a living thing.
Cork's a living thing,
So
and that's great.
There's flaws.
But there's flaws.
Yeah.
And so if I'm, why would I, as a producer, not want to guarantee my product is going to be as enjoyable and taste how I want you to enjoy it when I bottle it, just because it's romantic?
Yeah.
Like, that's not enough of a reason for me. Because if you've ever been in a situation where you've opened a bad wine and it's been cork tainted and it smells like wet cardboard and dog, that's not an enjoyable experience, and that's no longer romantic.
I was with an individual, a wealthy individual, and he ordered, it must have been a $400 bottle of wine. And he tried it, and he's like, this is corked. And I was like, oh, no.
I know.
Oh, no, I hope he knows what he's talking about. It was. It actually was.
It was, yeah.
And they're like, okay, I will bring you another one.
I know.
Like, holy shit.
It's crazy.
I wouldn't have the balls to say that on a $400 bottle of wine.
It's one of those things, though, and people are like, oh, but does wine age as well? Again, are we really aging wine? But sure, as well under screw cap. Yes, it still will age. There's still some oxygen that's getting in there. Like, it's just going to take a little while longer. So if you're already committing to aging, what's another 3 years? Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Get over it.
Yeah.
It'll store just as nicely.
Yeah.
It'll fit nicely in your wine
and
rack.
I've been part of a bottling process before many times, and then sometimes you just get a bad batch of corks.
Yeah.
It's like not even up to
It's
you.
less of an issue, but nowadays, which is great, like the cork industry has tried to rectify some things, but from our perspective, cost and quality are superior in a screw cap product. So we've gone that way. I like it for ease of use as well, because like where the winery is located on Front Road is between two provincial parks. And so we get naturally a lot of campers. Who's bringing a corkscrew on your camping trip?
This is true.
Right?
Or when you do bottle service and I'm like, oh my God, this is a screw cap.
I know.
They want to see the whole.
They do.
Peel.
I know. I grew up in hospitality, and that was one of the things that like also was like gave me the stage fright to do that. But you get used to it.
Yeah.
And it's fine. And I know that is not as like, it's not as much show and tell when you're doing that to a screw cap wine. I get it. But like the people in Australia and New Zealand who really championed screw cap, that's where it kind of started. They have like $400 bottles of wine under screw cap, and they're doing just fine.
Yeah.
So it's a choice that we made pretty early to adapt to, and it's we're not looking back.
What were we talking about? Just perception.
Yeah, perception. So I think that's the thing is like there's perception of people that, like you said, like it's not as good because it comes from Ontario, and it's ridiculous.
Ontario's not as special to them because they live here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's not true. And people should give it a second look because there's some really fantastic wines coming from here. Yeah. And if you don't want to do the legwork, right? Like if you are like, I just can't. Just tell me what to drink. I like to drink X. Give me something that's like that. Like, then go to your local winery and say that. Like all of our staff know if someone says to them, hi, yeah, I like Sauvignon Blanc. Like I like a Kim Crawford, really grassy, really citrusy, like
or like I like a very easy drinking,
whatever.
Sweet.
Yeah, they're like, this is what I want.
Yeah.
What do you have that's like that? All of our people can say, hey, here, this is this. It will deliver very similar flavor profiles, blah, blah, blah. It's cute. Look at it. Like, hello, take it. And, it's priced $2 less, for instance. So take it. And they'll try it and they'll normally like it. But I also like, that's the thing is to go and try. Like, go to your local little winery or your local wine shop. If you live in the city and you get a nice bottle shop,
or
go explore.
Even better,
those people love talking about wine.
Go to that winery and say, I don't like Ontario wine. Now they want to convince you.
Yes.
They want to go above and beyond 100%. To convince you to drink this.
And we will, at the winery, we'll pour, our standard flight, whatever. And sometimes people don't know what they like, right? So they say they like, I love dry, big red wine. And then they sit down and they try 4 dry, big red wines. And they're like, oh, actually, I don't like those. Or not my favorite. I'm like, okay, no problem, sure. And then we'll pour them something else because we don't want anybody to leave with that impression, right? Just because you didn't know what you wanted to order. And so like, that's fun. That's like genuinely people who work at a winery want that. They want a chance to like impress you.
Yeah.
And pour you something. And that's when I would pour like a blueberry wine and be like, what do you think about this? And I would not tell them it has blueberries in it.
Yeah.
And just watch their face.
Yeah.
Makes my day. I love it. But no, there's, you know what? Like, we drink a lot of Ontario wine just because of research, right? Like, we always want to see what people are doing. Quality every year is better as a whole.
Yeah.
So there's no reason not to drink Ontario wine. And there is an Ontario wine for everybody. Truly.
There's so many.
There's so many.
So what? You don't like this one? This
also,
one wine?
like,
Okay, go to the 100 other.
They're like fantastic rosé coming out of this province. Like Cab Franc and Pinot Noir both make fantastic rosé.
Rosé is great. We were just drinking Ravine rosé.
Oh my god, I love it.
Yep,
delicious.
And Lydia's there. She's the winemaker there.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah. There was there's a new one coming from Palatine Hills, I want to say.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's going to be priced very affordably on the LCBO shelves. I'm like already like, case please. Very excited about it. I tried a little sneak peek and it's yummy.
Yeah, rosé.
Yeah, rosé.
It's just like the perfect summer.
It is. We're coming into it.
Yeah.
So rosé season. And then like honestly, like Ontario Riesling, there's a wide range of styles of Riesling. It's not all sweet.
We're
Just
known
go
for
try
that,
stuff.
right? Riesling's like the grape.
Riesling's a great grape to try from Ontario for sure. Yeah, Riesling's fantastic. Pinot Noir, Cab Franc, Chardonnay. Like those are the heavy hitters. But yeah, like if you just give it a chance. Just try something new. It's not going to hurt. At the end of the day, it's just a drink.
Yep.
You can always make sangria.
This is true. Make it into something.
Make it into something.
Yeah.
I love wine cocktails.
Yeah.
Like we do so many wine cocktails.
I've just been really into New York sours recently.
I love a New York sour.
If I go to a bar, I'm like, can you just top it with like your,
Just a little.
a good red.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or even I had a guy, he's a food stylist on sets that I've met, but he does these private dinners at his place in Toronto.
Cool.
And he made me a Negroni, but he topped it with a sparkling red.
Which like a Lambrusco.
Yeah, I didn't even know sparkling red wine was a thing. And he topped it with this sparkling red wine.
Coming into a trend.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
I feel like wine people always say Lambrusco is going to be a trend and then it never is, but it should be.
Somebody should.
It should be. It's fantastic.
Someone in Norfolk should make it.
Right? Cadovan, which is now Sky Chase, they used to have a product that was
like a
pretty similar. Pretty similar. So like generally speaking, if someone else has made it, like someone in Ontario will make something similar.
Yeah. It's cool. It's like you have that mouthfeel of it being carbonated, but then you have the color. Yeah.
It's fun. It's like the pizza wine.
Pizza wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love those. I do. When we talk about wine at the winery too, people always ask like, oh, what's your favorite? Because you ask like, what's your favorite cocktail or whatever, go-to cocktail? What's your go-to wine? And I'm like, I struggle with that question because
Changes.
What's the situation? What's the vibe?
Yeah.
Tell me the vibe and I can tell you the wine.
Yeah. What are you eating?
Yeah, 100%. What are we?
with?
Are we sitting down? We're just hanging out on the couch watching, White Lotus? Are we on the patio? Is it hot? Is it cold?
Did you have a rough day and you just need
need a straw?
Big,
A chocolate bar?
Yeah.
A bag of chips?
Those
whatever.
Those happen.
It does happen.
Yeah.
Well, and I think like you have to meet people where they're at for wine as well. And I feel like that's some of wine's problem in terms of competing with cocktails and beer is approachability. Right. And we strive so hard at the winery to make it approachable for people. We have like a Couch Crushers tasting flight. It's literally just 4 wines with 4 junk foods that
cool.
we like staff training day is
cool.
I look like I went through a bad breakup at the grocery store because I'm just like my cart is full of like every flavor of chip, Cheetos, chocolate, candy, and then we bring them all back and then we try them with all the wines and find a flight that we love. And it has to be on for like a reason. Like it makes the wine taste better. It makes the food taste better, but it's junk food. So like if you know nothing about wine and you see that on a menu, like that's calling my name, right? Like at the very least you get a snack.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the best you've learned something about how like spice, salt, fat affect what's in your glass.
Yeah. And I think that's why cheese is often paired with wine, right? It's
100%.
The fat coats your mouth, changes the flavor. Yeah.
Yeah. And so same thing, but Cheetos.
Cheetos.
Right? We do Cheetos and House Party. We've done all dressed chips with rosé.
Chips pair surprisingly well.
Chips,
Yeah.
they're chips. They're delicious.
Yeah, salty.
Starburst, the like little mini Starbursts. With like a sparkling that's a little bit sweet. It's
Okay.
so yummy.
Okay.
We did our Chardonnay with like a dill pickle chip because it's Canadian oak and it has some of those kind of herbaceous qualities to it. And with the dill pickle chip and the like fatty, like it's like a wavy chip. Ooh, it's so good. So yummy.
Before we go, since you're here, do you want to talk a little bit about what's going on with craft beer? I know we have a winemaker here.
Well,
but
yeah, no.
just like, do you feel comfortable touching on it?
Yeah, I don't mind. Because I don't know a whole lot about it. I just know that with the AGCO and the Ontario government, they're just making it really, really tricky to brew craft beer. Like just the expenses and all the taxes are astronomical. And there's a big push right now behind the Ontario Brewers Association to make a change for it.
Make a change.
Because it's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. You have to make it easier for people to be able to consume your product, right? At the end of the day, that's what you want.
Yeah.
Because they're pricing consumers out because you now have to price your beers.
Well, that's this. We have to set a price point that's almost impossible to sell at to make any profit.
To compete against people that you're on the shelf with.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like
then you get
Labatt's.
then you get all the big companies that they can just mass produce at such a affordable price, and it's hard.
Yeah, 100% it's hard. It's also like I feel like craft beer has a challenge that's different than wine in terms of I know people will go into the cooler section at the LCBO, and I do this and it's bad, but you buy something because it's new, right? You're like, oh, I haven't seen that one before, but you're not buying your favorites all the time. It's like, oh, that one's cool label. I've never seen that. Into cart, but you're not necessarily like going to rebuy it. Which is what you want. You want to create loyal customers. So it's a challenge to walk that line of like, we want to introduce new people into our category, but at the same point in time, like we need them to buy more than once.
Yeah.
I do that.
Right?
Well, just because I like different things.
Everybody does this, is what I'm
I
saying.
get one of, 10 different beers from each. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, even I do that.
Yeah.
I know,
So
but it's a problem.
Yeah.
Like you need to at some point you need to repurchase. Like that's that's a really challenging market to be in where like you're a one-time buy. Like that's not, you want loyal customers, which I think is where on-site, on-premise like is huge.
Yeah.
And especially huge for craft beer because they need it because you need to create community.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we found too. We'd be in like a beer store in St. Thomas or something like that, and they'd order 3 cases a week for a month, and then all of a sudden just silent.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's hard. And again, how do you? That's the landscape of where it's at for beverage in Ontario, and I think like the loosening of some restrictions to be able to sell in convenience stores and convenience outlets, the ability to sell in bottle shops where they have other like food products and do your shopping, right? Like that's massive for our industry. And people don't understand. People are like, oh, it's just like so people can buy cheap beer and like on their way home. When they buy their lotto tickets, and I'm like, no, like
it's giving you the producer
it's a
some
whole
freedom.
other avenue.
Yeah.
And if you loosen it up even more, and people can own their own shop, and it's not just the LCBO only, like my God, it'd be a radical change to our industry.
A bit of a more democratic system.
And the thing about it is like people always throw like, oh, but it's gonna affect law, it's gonna affect traffic, or like whatever. But there's places who've been doing it for years and years and years and years. So I'm like, I don't think so.
Like the convenience store down the road here now has beer and and I was like, this is fantastic.
Right.
Sometimes I don't want to go to the LCBO and get a case of Guinness. Like
Yes. Also, sometimes it's convenient. That's why they're called convenience stores.
Convenience stores. Yeah, so it's fantastic. And I guess like grocery stores now have wine aisles and beer aisles. So it's cool to see.
It's starting to loosen, and hopefully it just continues that trend. I think I just want mom and pop little shops because I feel like also when you get that way, people are passionate about your product.
Yes.
And then the products that they're bringing in, and they can speak informatively about them, and that changes everything as well. Because you're talking about why people don't want to drink Ontario beverage. Well, like get the right people to sell it to them.
Yeah.
Not
and these
a
mom and
staff
pops
member.
will like actually know you probably.
Yeah.
So, this is Amanda's wine. Instead of like Walmart selling your wine. So.
Yeah. exactly.
Yeah.
It'd be nice. We'll see. I mean, it's the frontier. The frontier of new beverage in Ontario. I feel like we're in it right now.
Exciting,
It is exciting.
stressful,
It's very stressful.
part of the game.
Yeah. I mean, business owner. Gotta make it work,
Yeah.
like we said.
Yeah. Wow. Thanks so much for coming on. Your knowledge is
Oh, I got lots.
yes. Yes. It's been a good one to have you on. So is there anything I haven't touched on about your bit? Where do people find you? Where's Front Road Cellars?
Come see us. Shockingly, we're on Front Road. We're really super lucky where we are. We are right in the hub of what I think in 10 years could be a sub-appellation of Ontario wine. So there's some really excellent wineries right in our neck of the woods. Makes a great little day trip. You can find us on frontroadcellars.ca. Find us on Instagram. All the fun stuff's happening on Instagram, TikTok. Things get a little crazy on TikTok.
Yeah.
Things are a little unhinged on TikTok, but that's fine.
Yeah.
It's like my play zone. I just throw stuff at the wall.
And for those listening outside of Norfolk, this is Turkey Point area.
Yeah,
near
Turkey
the
Point
coast.
area. Mm-hmm. Yep,
near the
beautiful.
water there.
Got great views. It's a great little Front Road is part of the waterfront trail, so it's a beautiful stretch of road as well. I think it's some of the best views in Norfolk County.
I agree.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
gorgeous. So it's a great little microcosm of everything, and literally within 20 minutes of our location, like hotels, accommodations, food, really great food, bars. Like we're centrally located where we are.
Yeah. Trails,
Hiking,
bird watching,
mountain biking.
Yeah.
Oh, bird
Kayaking,
watching. So much
fishing.
bird watching.
Yeah. Beaches.
Beaches.
There's 3 beaches right here, right in
I
that
know.
little cove there.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Antique shopping
Yeah.
at a way better price than Toronto.
Yeah.
So much to do.
So much to do.
Cafe, baked goods.
Yep.
We got it all.
Yep.
Come down and see us.
Come and see us.
The patio is gorgeous also in the summer, and you can sit out on the patio and have maybe one of my little Aperol spritzes and enjoy the view of the blueberry patch. It's
So the
a
April's
special
not
spot.
ready yet.
Not yet.
But okay,
Soon.
let me know.
Soon.
I will
Soon.
make a
You
cocktail.
can make your own Negroni.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
I'm just not making my gin, but
Yeah.
whatever.
That's okay.
One step.
I'll pick up some gin.
Someone's got it.
Maybe eventually. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks so much for coming on, Amanda.
Pleasure.
And thanks, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. Oh, and thanks for Bobby for
no
sending
worries.
thanks.
Yeah.
It's nice just to talk about something other than fishing.
Yeah.
for once. So
Walleye.
thanks, for having me.
everybody.
Walleye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yep.
Bye.
Nice. That was fantastic.
Walleye.
That was awesome.
Good.
Yeah, that was great.